Okay. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Psychic Readings Live. My name is Caleb Booker, and I'm here to do your psychic readings today. Just get this arranged. Sorry about the scrape noise. Yeah, so here we go. So, anybody who has any questions tonight, we're here to do free psychic readings. So, tap in your questions in the chat, and I will reply live right here. Now, these psychic reading live things are going to be a little inconsistent going forward. I mean, I'm getting busier and I don't know when I can fit them in. So I created a mailing list that is running through the Psychic Village website. So if you want to take advantage of that, I've put the address in the description of this video. So it's www.thepsychicvillage.com/free-readings. And so just go to that address, pop in your email address, and I will notify you whenever I am going to be able to do something for free. Now, sometimes it's going to be YouTube. Other times I'll go to a site like Reddit and offer a free reading through there. And there's other ways I do it as well. So whatever it is, I'll just give direction through email so that you never have to miss it. And there we go. But yeah, I mean, it's slowly getting busy again. I worked really hard at referring off a lot of my people, and I had friends who were helping them out. But I don't know, lately I got the strong direction to start doing this myself again and opening up a few more slots. So for the first time in a long time, I'm able to take new clients. And usually, I mean, it's always best if I can go by referral, but I've been able to even open up non-referral slots lately, which is really nice, because it was getting to the point where I was just not really sure how to handle this, how to handle making myself available. So no matter what, though, no matter how busy I get, I'm really dedicated to making sure that there's free readings time. That's there. It's always available. So no matter what, one way or the other, I'll always make sure that occasionally I'm there if you can't afford to, pay for a reading, which is fine. I mean, this isn't about money. This is about service, right? So hey, Marie, how are you doing? I'm just going to read your comments here. So she says, "Hi, Caleb. Thank you for the positive energy. I think you're doing a great job. My question is about the guy I met 2 months ago during a project at university. We were both graduate students. I had a strong feeling that he likes me since he invited me for drinks, and I felt that we were having an amazing time together." Maria, I have a feeling you're still typing. Yep, there you go. And every time I meet him, happens quite frequently, we're having long conversations, and it seems like he's interested. I still think, all right, yeah, here's more. However, he never calls or makes any move, so I'm not sure if he indeed likes me. Maybe we're just friends. Would you recommend me move on, or do you think there might be a chance for a relationship with this guy? Thanks, Maria. Okay, Maria, you're asking the good questions, and I'm really glad that you're checking in on this today. It's tough because, you're at that point where it's hard to tell what's going on with the guy. Did something happen and he lost interest, or is it just that he's awkward? What's going on? So I already kind of have a strong impression, but what I traditionally do is, I'll get the impression and I'll process it like I am right now as I talk. And then I'll put some cards down and I'll check myself to see if, is this really the case? So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. If anybody else has any questions, go ahead and think them up right now. You can pop them into chat or just make commentary. Anything you want to say. This is it's a friendly space, so it's no problem. Okay. Do. All right. Yeah. So the biggest thing that's going on with him right now is, okay, so first of all, Maria, we could kind of take it for granted almost that he's interested. Because this is not the guy who's going to do those things when he's not interested. You know, like the encounters you've had with him so far are clear indicators, and we're sort of getting a verification that that's the case. But also, the problem is that he doesn't know how to do this. He doesn't know how to read you, for instance, and tell if you're actually interested or just being polite. He doesn't know how to move it to the next step. The difficulty, Maria, is that you're not the kind of person that he's used to, dating, let's say. And that's not a bad thing at all. It's just that he's growing up. The kind of people that he used to date, he doesn't want to date anymore. You're definitely more interesting to him than the others have been. And that's a problem for him because he doesn't know, okay, well, all the things that I would have done before, I can't do now. I'm not sure how to move this forward. I don't get it. So, you know, it's one of those things where just out of awkwardness, he's not sure what to do. So it's really on that level. And he's a little intimidated by you because he just really does think you're fantastic. So in a roundabout way, you know, you would be very good for him. Whether or not it's ever meant to work out long term, I mean, that's a whole other issue. We won't even get into that right now, Maria, because that's maybe jumping the gun. But you'd definitely be good for him. And the question really is, would he be good for you? That's maybe more important for you at the moment. It's okay to be selfish. Yeah. So, okay, it's sort of what I expected. In that he would be okay for you. Like the relationship would be all right after you got through the initial part. There'd be a lot of like, this is good, but it's also a lot of work. I got a feeling that even if after you officially dated, so to speak, he would still be a lot of work as far as like, so you have your initial date, great, we're off to a good start, it feels good, we're sort of a couple-ish, but he makes it awkward constantly by being awkward. And so you got to push through that. It's just work. But when you find it is something you can work through, and you get to the other side, and yeah, it's actually a really good time. It's an enjoyable relationship. So this can happen, Marie. And sorry, I keep saying Marie instead of Maria. I apologize. Oh God, that's bad, Caleb. Man. But anyway, yeah. So this could be really good for you. Yes, it's worth your while. Okay, so that's great, but I haven't said anything useful, have I? Like, yeah, he's interested, but he's too awkward to move it forward. Yes, it's worth your time, and after trudging through the awkwardness, it could be great. But what do you do about this? I mean, that's the practice. What's the takeaway? What do we do next? So let's figure that one out, because I want to know. All right, let's see. The initial thing I'm getting is to do things wrong. That's interesting advice. Let me figure out what that means. Okay, so there's a certain level of like of being brutally honest with him, and just saying, hey, you know, I was hoping you were interested in me, but then you weren't calling me. And so now I'm starting to think maybe you weren't. So I was just hoping you could sort of clear that up and tell me if I should leave you alone. And then you end up in this awkward conversation where he says, no, I don't want to leave you alone. But he's also too awkward to admit that he's really interested. So you have to like pull it out of him. And you end up at this part where you end up hanging out a few more times without it being a date. Man, there is no graceful, easy way to get this thing rolling. Holy crap. There really isn't. This is one of those like really awkward starts, and he's just determined to make it that way because he's really worried about being embarrassed. He's worried about you catching on to, no, not catching, what is it? He's worried about you laughing at him. That's the main thing. He's worried about you laughing at him or criticizing him. He's terrified of that. But ironically, you can't be too soft because it's your strength that he's attracted to. The very thing that's intimidating him is the thing that he is so fascinated by. So, oh, Maria, I'm so sorry. I wish I could give you like the easiest answer in the world. Just call him. It'll be easy. No, it won't be easy. But the thing that I am getting that's clear is that you do have to be the next person to make this connection, because he's not going to do it. He's too afraid. And what's funny about that is he doesn't seem like that. Okay, I know that the image he presents of himself isn't awkward. The image he presents of himself seems cool and funny and whatever. And you have not seen any awkwardness in him at all. I get that. That's, yeah. But the thing about guys is that we're really good at hiding our emotions because we have to be. Because as soon as we show an emotion of any kind of weakness, then the rest of the guys jump all over us, and it's vicious and horrible. So we have to fake strength all the time, whether or not we're a crumbling little thing inside. So that he's really good at that, because he's got to be, like most guys, he's got to be to survive. It's your survival instinct that makes you fake feeling confident. So there it is. But yeah, you're gonna have to engage in conversations with him where, despite his best attempts, you have to remind yourself over and over, oh, he acted that way because he's awkward. He'll make like jokes and laugh louder than he meant to be because he's nervous. Little things like that. Pardon me, sorry. So yeah, I mean that's it. But it's worth reaching out, Maria, because the fact is, if you are willing to work through some of this stuff, your payoff is really good. Your payoff is someone who's fun to be around, and you watch him transform. You're really good for him in the respect that he'll finally realize that being genuine and being unaffected, not putting on a face, is the best way towards a meaningful relationship of any kind, and is the only thing that a strong woman respects. A woman worth of his time is going to respect, his realness. So he'll learn to be a little bit more out of his shell through this relationship. It's great for him. And for you, you're in it for some good times. I don't honestly see... Let me just see if there's anything else you can get out of it other than just a good time, though. Because, to be quite honest, that was all I was seeing. Yeah, I mean, that's really it. And some reflection on what you'd really rather have. He'll be a good contrast for... he'll provide good contrast, because while there's nothing really wrong with him per se, you'll get to a point with it where you'll realize that you're looking for something specific, something you didn't even realize you wanted out of a relationship. But you'll get that new vision for what it is by the fact that this is a pretty good relationship, but it's missing something. And so, no hard feelings. It's just like, I need something else. So actually, I don't necessarily see this being like a this is your life kind of relationship, but it's definitely good for both of you. And actually, you're at a good point in your life where this could really work. Okay, that kind of covers it. However, I'm going to leave this here for a second and wait for you to make mention in chat to let me know if that's clear. If it's not clear, I can expand on it. And if there's something you want more detail on, or if there's a slightly different question you want to ask, go ahead and put that in chat. I'm also watching chat right now for anybody else's questions. So, guys, go ahead. I'm just going to sip my tea, though, for a second. Wow, I gotta tell you, after I've been talking for, looks like about 17 solid minutes. It's always nice to be able to just be quiet for a bit. This is the trick. It's just after a while you get tired of hearing your own voice. Thanks a lot. I really feel like this is the case. Okay, awesome, Maria. It is Marie. I made this big thing about it being Maria, but it is Marie. What is with my eyes? I think I need glasses. Oh, guys, I need glasses. Oh, what a terrible discovery. Well, anyway, you were here with me in the moment I discovered it. I better get my eyes checked because I was positive that said Maria. Anyway, you're very welcome, Marie. And I'm glad that was clear. Yeah, this is one of those cases where I am reminded of what TV psychics do. TV psychics would definitely tell you something more dramatic than what I told you because it would make for better television. It wouldn't necessarily be true, but it would make for better television. And so it's funny how I'm really committed to being useful to you, and that means being truthful. And so that also often means a kind of a sort of a not exciting reading because it is what it is, right? Marie is short version of Maria, she says in chat. Well, okay, thank you for letting me off the hook then. Let's just call it my psychic vision rather than failing vision. That was messing with me. So if anybody else has any questions, please pop them into chat. I'm ready for the next person, no problem at all. And we'll be good to go. Though we're coming at this at an interesting part of my life. I'm kind of rededicating to myself to this because it was I felt this strong urge to back out of doing psychic readings at all last year. I don't exactly. It's hard to describe why I felt that way. That I wanted to sort of get out of it. Maybe it was. Because it is, physically draining, right? You end the day really, really tired, depending on who you saw. Some people are easier than others. It depends on how shy people are. It's funny because I'd prefer a liar or a cynic to a shy person. Shy people are just, it's like pulling teeth to try and get them to drop the barriers so I can go in and do my work because I can't go without permission. I can't see anything unless somebody gives me specific permission to look. Because that's the rules. Part of doing psychic work is you set up mental rules for how things are going to work, and then everything kind of falls into place. And I made a rule at some point that I didn't want to see anything that people didn't want me to see, as long as the message would come through that they understood. As long as they understood, I'm okay. But the trick with that is that if you're super shy, then you won't even ask the question. And I need you to ask the question. At least open the gate that far. Tell me that you're concerned about your career. Tell me that you're worried you're not being recognized by your peers. Just say it out loud. And own it. As soon as you've owned it, we can move it forward. We can make things better. Anyway, so it just got really. I was just getting really tired, and at a certain point, I said, God or whoever it is that's having me do this work, could I stop? and I kind of got this whole do whatever's best for you, Caleb. A very neutral kind of answer, which was surprising. And I went for this long stretch of time not getting any guidance for myself, only for other people. Probably because I was asking the question, probably because I was just being kind of fussy about this whole thing. And so without any direction or any real sense of mission, I started thinking maybe I should quit. And then about 2 months ago, no, it wasn't even that long ago, it was last month, I got the sudden, shocking, very, very loud message to build it back up again from scratch, to approach the psychic village from square one all over again, and start doing readings for people. And it was like, oh, okay. Well, I've been referring my clients off to other people in the area. I've been telling people I wasn't taking new clients and just going by referral. I was doing all this stuff. I raised my prices in order to reduce the number of appointments, which apparently didn't even affect anything, actually. I raised prices and everything stayed the same. And I found out, actually, that I still, even now, charge too little. But anyway. So it's been this weird thing over the last month where I'm sort of like trying to remember how to do this. How do I run an office? How do I do marketing so that people know I exist? All this stuff. It's a really weird spot now where I'm sort of like trying to remember how to make a go of working as a psychic, because it was kind of on rails before. It was all automatic. I'd done all the work in the early days, and now it was just going. So I kind of feel like I'm a brand new guy, even though I've been at it for a decade. But it's a funny spot to be in. Anyway, so I haven't seen any more questions. If I don't get any more questions in the next short while, I'll wrap her up. Your questions, by the way, don't necessarily have to be about you. Marie, go ahead if you have another question. But anybody who has other questions, if you want to ask about how psychic stuff works, if you want to ask about what's going on in the world, you want to ask about aliens, anything you want, we can dive into anything you want today, because that's the wonder of an open forum and a free psychic reading night, is we can dive into any subject you want. So go nuts. We'll dive in. But right now, Marie has a second question. Let me just see what she's got here. I'm dreaming of moving to the USA, but I feel like I can't leave my mom alone. Can you please see if there's a way to take her with me? Or should I leave my dream of moving to the USA? Marie, there is the third option as well that you're not considering, which is to go without her. And I'm just tossing that out there because it is the third option. I'm not saying that that's something that I'm seeing as a thing you should do, just that it needs to be acknowledged that that's a possibility, that there may be a possibility where you could leave and she would be fine. I don't know that that's the case. I haven't, to be quite honest, I think your instincts are probably bang on that you need to make sure she's okay. But I just wanted to open that up, that when we're looking at the future, we have to consider all possibilities and open ourselves up to everything. So let me just sort of process it now, reach out and see what I can find out about this. Move to the USA or not? What would be the point of moving, though? Okay, because there's also that whole other half. I don't know what we're going to discover, Marie. I honestly don't know. I have, like, all these threads connecting to your question, but I don't know what they connect to yet. So let's put some cards down and find out what's going on. Okay, some cards came back from before, but they have different meanings in this context, so don't worry. So, there's your mother up here being represented by the King of Wands. One thing that I want to toss out about this, Marie, before we go on, that what's this telling us is that your reasons for wanting to be with her are only 50% about her needing you. The other 50% is you feeling like you need her. There is a certain level of like, you're under the impression that you just wouldn't be able to survive without her. And that's not necessarily the case. She did a good job raising you. She did a good job instilling in you all the not just values, but the skills required to exist even in a world where she's far away. So it's important for you to recognize that that's half of your motivation. And yet, legit, the other half, though, does seem to be that she does need you too. But bring that in, the fact that you are capable of being independent, and there's a huge part of you that doesn't think that's the case. A huge part of you thinks you need her still. And it's time to start acknowledging that part of you, because the longer you deny that it exists, the longer it'll stay. That self-doubt will build and build and build, and it'll start interfering with other things in your life. So working through that self-doubt by acknowledging it, first and foremost, is the first step. And after that, it kind of evaporates like water on hot pavement. It'll go away on its own. But you have to acknowledge that it exists first, that doubt. And it's much bigger than you want to admit. It actually changes the way you act and make decisions on a daily basis. So, but she did a good job giving you everything you need to live in a world where she's far away. You got to believe that she did a good job as a mom. And so you're okay. You're going to be all right if she decides, no, you go, dear. I'm making arrangements to be okay on my own. Which I could see her doing, but you would never put up with that. All right. So let me just figure this out. There's like a strong argument for... Like there's an argument for going, and there's a lot of arguments for staying. And there's more arguments for staying than going. But what I'm really seeing here about this is that the arguments for staying have nothing to do with your mom per se. At all, actually. Like, there's not even one. Not one thing here says that you shouldn't move, that she's the reason you shouldn't move. And by the way, I'm not seeing a possibility for you bringing her with you. I don't know why that is, but it's just like I don't see an option for it here. But the reasons you shouldn't go don't have to do with her necessarily. They have to do with the fact that there would be problems on the other end. And there's a possibility for it all working out really, really well, but you would have to clear a lot of the stuff we just discussed, actually. Clear a lot of the self-doubt, because it would actually make you put yourself in a compromising position. Your doubt itself is actually dangerous. It's forcing you into decisions that would actually cause problems down the road. So there's the loneliness factor. There's the fact that there would be money problems that you aren't anticipating at the moment. And there's the doubt thing connected to what we were saying, that, again, you don't necessarily feel it at the moment, but with her not in your daily life, it would be overwhelming. If you could clear up this stuff, so if you could make a plan for having social connections on the other end, and again, that might mean bringing your mom with you. Actually, that might actually be a really good thing, just from a personal, I need this perspective. If you could make sure that you had more money set aside than you think you need, because you do need more money than you think. And if you can prove to yourself that you can be very bold and act with boldness, then this can work out really, really well. And you can make all the smart decisions that you need to make on the other end. The thing about that move to the USA is it's not just about a move to the USA. It's about the 1,001 decisions you make once you get there about how to build a life in a strange land. It's so much more bizarre from your perspective. Bizarre is the word that comes to mind. It's so much weirder than you think it will be, even despite your your visits making it seem like it wouldn't be so different or so tough, there'd be a culture shock problem, and it would not work out really well right now. So I would normally encourage people to make leaps. I'm always encouraging people to take the jump, but I think we're being cautioned on these three things before you make that leap, because it's possible to do it, but you definitely have to take care of your social welfare before you move. Like, make a plan. Either go to where you have relatives or to where people are going to be that you can associate with. You got to be very careful about planning your relationships ahead of time. Definitely have more money set aside than you think you'll need. A lot more. At least 1.5 times, if not twice as much. Okay? Actually, at least twice as much. And then the other thing is just, you have to depend on yourself to be a very bold person, to say things that would be potentially embarrassing. And you're not that person, but you have to be the kind of person who's really comfortable with just being embarrassed a little, and that's kind of huge. But also just operating without a support structure. So here's the irony, is that we're definitely encouraging you to sort out your social stuff before you go, but also you have to be the kind of person who doesn't even need it. that's both at the same time, which is actually maybe more common than you might think. I don't normally see it in this format, but often with relationships, like when people ask me about when I'm going to meet the person that I'm supposed to marry, often the answer is, you can meet them when you're ready, when you don't feel like you need a relationship. Then you'll meet, but not a day sooner. That's pretty common. That this isn't about relationships; it's about a move. But it's similar in that, you definitely need to have some sort of plan for relationships, and you definitely need to feel like, oh, I'd be fine without them. But have both. You're not this person right now, and you know that. I don't have to tell you that. But you can be, and it doesn't take that many experiences. You just go ahead and say what's on your mind with a little bit more unabashedness. It's not just about saying what's on your mind. It's about doing things that you would find embarrassing normally. Start small, but do start, now. It affects your academic career. It affects your work career. It affects your whole life. There's people that you need to help down the road, and you won't be able to help them unless you achieve this skill. So this is a big deal. Yeah. So there's work to do before the move. But here's the other thing that I got at the tail end of this. That's not necessarily in the cards, but I did get. And that's that moving with your mom becomes possible down the road if you start working on these things. If you start working on saving up more money than you think you need, start working on being a little bit bold and, not worrying so much about what people think of you. If you start doing those things, then the possibility for moving with your mom kind of opens up. But you have to become this person first. So your mom may be the solution. Moving with her may be the solution. But you need to sort of be of the mind that you can, I would survive without her, and also I'm going to say what's on my mind in any given situation. Because my thoughts are awesome. and have that money set aside. So there's a certain amount of that. And then suddenly moving with her, the solution to that problem reveals itself once these two things are taken care of. And one last thing about that, moving with her is a very good thing for both of you. Yeah. Yeah, so that covers that. If that's clear to you, great. If you want expansion on any one of those points, let me know, though. I'll give you a second to respond in chat. And anybody else who has any questions, go ahead and pop them into chat. I've been watching the viewer count go up here. So there's been people watching this whole time who haven't typed a word in chat. It's always, hi guys, how you doing? Hello lurkers. Awesome. You're very welcome, Marie. Sounds challenging, but I like challenge. Otherwise, life would be boring. I absolutely agree with you, Marie. Very much I've discovered about myself that a lot of my decision making on what I'm going to do next is fear based, but not in the way you might think. When I discover that I'm afraid of something, I am drawn to it like a magnet, which is probably why I find myself doing things like going live on YouTube and doing psychic readings. How intimidating is that? But yeah, I'm definitely finding I'm wired to seek out fear as a way of saying, hey, that's the next thing I can do. And that I actually found out the other day why that is, because it was kind of always a mysterious behavior of mine. I didn't really understand why I acted like that. And someone said to me, he was describing like how you just figure out what you're going to do with your life. And he was saying how you go with whatever you're good at, you go with your skill set. And I objected like right away on a personal level, not for other people. I mean, for a lot of people, yeah, go with your skills, whatever you're good at, do it. But for me, I'm like, as soon as I'm as good as I could ever dream of being at something, I'm done. Move on. So right now, I mean, what's wonderful about doing psychic readings for me is that there's always something I don't know. Like, for instance, I don't know your name before you tell me. Yeah, but only for now. Someday I will. I'm working towards it. If I ever get to the point where I know people's names before they tell me, well, then I'm probably done. I'm going to move on to the next thing because I'm like, I got it then. But yeah, I'm very much drawn to whatever's intimidating. It's and scary. I'm not sure what that is, but it definitely means like I'm growing. Marie agrees. Right on. See, there's somebody else out there. But yeah, Marie, the direction, by the way, for doing something intimidating was on a social level. Whatever it was, it had to do with speaking your mind and behaving in ways that you might not have otherwise. So it definitely felt like something you can work through. And from just our little chatting, it's clearly something that you don't have to get any trick. Like there's no trick to it with you. With other people, I'd have to give specific instruction for how to do it, but you got it. You got it. Okay, so we're creeping up on 42 minutes live here, so it's awesome. Well, actually, strictly speaking, I guess it was streaming for a couple of minutes first, so we'll call it 40 minutes. And I'm kind of good tonight, guys. I feel like we did it, but having said that, I'm not in a hurry. If anybody has any more questions, pop them into chat. I'll give you a couple of minutes to think of something. I'm just going to sip my tea here. Oh, yeah. So, anybody else who works with cards? I'm going to show you something fun. So, I've shown this deck before, but at Christmas, so my wife gave me this deck here, which I use all the time. But my wife gave me a new deck at Christmas that I kind of had on a list for a while, a wish list for a long time. And it's gorgeous. It's this gorgeous deck. But it's also very dark, so I'm not really sure like how creeped out it's going to make people. So I've only used it a couple of times, just for a few people. But look at these cards. I mean, they're just so beautiful, right? And so the one thing I found, though, with this deck, despite how pretty it is that the cards were sticking. Like, if I did this, you'd get big chunks of cards that just would not separate. Even now, it's still, they're a little sticky. They're better, but they're still a little sticky. And that was just out of the pack. It was like that. And I shuffled and shuffled and shuffled them, trying to work whatever it was off of them, but they just would not separate. So I went looking for a solution, and I discovered that there was, you could use talcum powder or cornstarch or flour, and clean them. So like what you're supposed to do is put the card in a paper bag or something with the powder and shake, and it'd be all right. So what I did is I kind of did that with each card, and then it was amazing actually. With flour, I would put the card in a bag and get it covered in flour, and then I had a cloth and I would just sort of clean it, because I'd take it out of the bag and the flour was caked all over the cards and it was just stuck to it, and then I'd sort of grind it off. So there's still a little bit of flour on them, but all that stuff, look at that, nice and smooth now. Couldn't do this before. So fun little tip. If you've got a deck that's sticking. Apparently that works for really well-worn decks. Now, I'm super careful about having clean hands when I work with my decks, so they don't get gummy. But if you've got like a deck of playing cards or whatever that you take out on poker night and everybody's drinking beer, so your beer will inevitably end up on your cards, the way it goes. You know, and you love that deck and you want to salvage it, use that flour trick or cornstarch or whatever, and works like a charm. Now, the only trick is that I don't know if it's this deck or if it's the way I treated it, but that is a thick deck. Look at that. That is not easy to handle. Like, it takes a lot of work to keep from tossing the whole thing aside when I'm shuffling it. But anyway, I mean, just gorgeous art. I mean, you just don't get too much better than that. And so I'm definitely going to use it a little more. But it's images like these, right, where, well, I guess you know what. Ten of Swords is always creepy. It's either a guy or with the swords in him or whatever. But there was like an example that came up earlier. Look at these. These are just amazing, right, though? Huh. Now these are all beautiful. Where are the creepy ones? Well, there's a creepy one. But it is death, after all. So I'm going through this whole deck, and I'm like, I can't show you an example of creepy cards. They're not going out well, whatever, anyway. It's what it is. So I'm just getting used to it now and sort of developing a relationship with this deck. I've done a few readings with it so far, and it's fine. For the most part, I use decks as verification for what's already coming through, and I let the cards sort of give structure to whatever I'm saying. And that's why I still use them. And I like them. I like art, and it gives my mind something to focus on, and so it can get out of the way and let the messages come through. That's the purposes of cards. Going forward, the decision's officially been made to move forward with something that I've been talking about for a long time, which is Practical Intuition, a series of instructionals on how to develop your own intuition. And I want to try and keep it very, very grounded. So I want to keep the instruction for how to develop a better gut feeling for things. We'll just start at that level. How to read people, get their intentions, get through their intentions, and then go further from there. So this basic intuition stuff and how to develop it all. Anybody can develop this stuff. It's not necessarily going to be a how to be psychic series. I mean, we might do that down the road, but in the early days, it's just going to be about that practical day-to-day stuff. You know, the age-old, how do I know if they like me? You know, that kind of end of things. And really just trying to boil it down to stuff that anybody can do. And I want to acknowledge all of the things that aren't necessarily spiritual practices. Like, acknowledge reading people's expressions, body language, all that stuff. Now, clearly, when I'm doing readings on YouTube, I'm just seeing a little bit of text, so that stuff doesn't apply. But this is about, you know, practical day-to-day stuff. That's what I want to do, is sort of help people on that level. So practical intuition is going to happen. It's officially decided, and now it's a question of, you know, do I write a book? Do I write small little, like, mini books, like ebooks, and release them for free to my mailing list, which is probably going to happen, actually. I do think I'm going to release a few free things. There's definitely enough material for a book and for a course. And so there may be a course or several courses in the future that get developed. And then there's the notion of just workshops and doing webinars and things like that. So there's lots of possibilities. All that stuff's got to be worked out. But it's coming. It's coming. So the real issue, pardon me, breathing in incense. But the real issue was, am I going to be teaching people how to do psychic biz, which I'm discovering I need to rediscover all on my own, or do practical intuition? And I think practical intuition, it's clearly that's what I need to focus on. I've worked in the small biz circles for a while. My wife is a small business consultant, so there's lots to say about that, but I really think that I'm supposed to be helping the people who are looking for a psychic reading and who need intuition of their own. So that's definitely where I'm starting right now. And that's, you know, work in progress over the next year. We're going to develop a whole series of free things and webinars and workshops and courses and probably a book somewhere at some point. So work on my end, but it's coming. And if you want to be kept in the loop, you can follow this channel, but also go to thepsychicvillage.com/free-readings and be on that list, because I'll definitely be sending it out to that list. I guess we're done, guys. That covers it. So I'm going to go ahead and kill the stream now. Marie, your readings are going to be... So this whole recording will be archived and on the channel shortly, and then I'm going to take the individual pieces and separate them out into their own videos in the next while and put them on the channel as well. But that's it, guys. So thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.